Hello and welcome to GreenFleet Talks. My name's Kate Armitage and I'm your host for our discussion today, and I'm delighted to be joined by Lindsay Hetherington, who is EV charging specialist at Drax Electric Vehicles. Hello Lindsay, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
It's lovely to see you again. You and I were only recently together up in Scotland.
Yes, last Friday.
For GreenFleet Live, and you are, as far as Drax is concerned, you are the Queen of the North, aren't you? So for all of our viewers who are based in the north of England or Scotland, Lindsay is your go-to person.
Yes.
Lindsay, we're going to be talking about the 2030 target and the ZEV mandate, and of course all the great things that Drax is doing in this space. So let's just pick up on the 2035 ban on ICE cars and vans. Look, I mean, for me, this is only 10 years away. So any discussion around, are you ready? Have you got time? Is becoming more and more critical as every year goes by. But let's just think about what are the benefits of beginning this transition now, but probably more importantly, what are the risks of waiting?
Yeah, I think we all know how fast 1 year goes by, and then before we know it, we'll be there. I think preparing early for the ban really just allows organisations to future-proof their full operations. There's a benefit in spreading that investment cost for transitioning vehicles and installing infrastructure as well. But really to demonstrate those sustainability goals, I think we've got to be seen to be doing something. I think benefits really is the trial and technology, trialing that transition and trialing different operations within the fleet. I think that really benefits the strategy going forward. I think that we always see that phased approach, and we're going to make mistakes. We're going to do that. So doing that now is maybe beneficial for that future, and we're still going to benefit from those lower running costs and benefit from government grants available now, such as depot charging grants, workplace charging grants, and grants on vehicles as well.
Great, Lindsay. I mean, and if you don't act now, I call it ICE cold turkey. Okay, right? Because if you wait until 2029, and you're still wanting to buy your fully petrol or diesel vehicles, it's going to be very difficult for you, and you haven't got a margin for error. Then you've got to live with the decisions that you make, haven't you?
Yeah, I think there's some real risks in delaying that. So more so for me, looking at the power capacity for charging, we're seeing at the moment a real land grab of bringing new connections in and owning the capacity. And we don't want to go down that route to have insufficient power capacity in the future. There might be limited vehicle availability, and I think the cost as well. So delaying transition risks, exposure to sudden capital costs, which might be a huge a shock to the organisation, and potentially reputational damage as well. Like I said, we've got to be seen to be doing something, and being proactive and transitioning now will ensure a smooth and strategic transition.
Yeah, I completely agree. And how important do you think the ZEV mandate has been in really pushing this target?
I think so important. As we were at the event last Friday and we did a poll, and it was asking the motivation for fleet managers of why they are transitioning. And I think it was the mandate that was the most common answer, which is quite sad, isn't it? But I think it's really pushing businesses, fleets, and giving them a bit of a clear direction into where to invest, into plan for the future, and hopefully that'll reduce the risk of those high investments in like new technologies and charging infrastructure, new connections.
Yeah, definitely. And for me, the whether or not we actually hit the targets in the ZEV mandate does remain to be seen. But there has definitely been a clear uptick in the take-up of both battery electric cars and, to a lesser extent, vans over the last 2 years since the mandate's been in place. So it is really focusing the mind a little bit on what needs to be done.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the mandates really push the progress along, ensuring that no one gets left behind. And I think, it's a meaningful shift towards that low carbon transport.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, the car 2035, you won't be able to get the cars anymore, is a big part of this. But let's just flip the focus for a minute and think about the role of the fleet manager throughout this transition over the next 10 years. So how is that going to evolve? What can we expect the fleet manager of 2035 to be doing?
Well, I think it's already evolved. So the conversations that I have with fleet managers, sometimes they kind of get stuck with the EV charging and the EV side of things. I think data is going to be key here. And I think it's important for fleet managers to get on board now with what we're going to see in the future. So advances in telematics, AI, all of that is going to help with planning, maintenance, route optimization, and cost control. I think that whole strategy piece will be derived from the data side of things. Along with, I think, collaboration here is going to be a real big one. So departments with fleet, sustainability, energy, finance, procurement, all of them need to work really closely together, because I think when I started 10 years ago, we installed EV charging points. It wasn't really about the energy. And I think since I've moved to Drax, obviously we're an energy supplier, I can see that it's kind of the energy is the main focus and the data is really the driver there. And getting that right and we offer like a kind of full turnkey solution really supports those fleet managers.
I think it's really exciting, and you've touched on all of the stakeholders that you're going to have to be collaborating with as a fleet manager. But if you kind of think about 15 years ago, you as a fleet manager, you bought your fuel from a petrol forecourt. It was a third-party supplier, and it was all managed through a fuel card and audited and all of those great things. But in 10 or 15 years' time, that's going to be completely different, because the business is going to be responsible not only for procuring their own fuel, but potentially generating it and managing it and storing it. And it's like going to the rest of the business and saying, okay, facilities, I'm now going to buy my electricity from you. What are you going to do?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's going to have to be a real shift in that skills. And we do focus quite a lot on young people and supporting with training. We've supported a college recently with some charging hardware for training and that kind of thing. And I think it's really going to change that kind of whole fleet manager role. But it is exciting. It is exciting. And I think that's the future, right?
I think so. And I think it's really going to open the pack up as well in terms of how you differentiate your role, but how you differentiate your business. Whereas before, everyone went to the petrol forecourt and bought the same stuff with the same intensity. Suddenly, it's all going to be very different. And then we're going to see a lot of different strategies emerging as to where and how people are getting the electricity to fuel their vehicles. And there could be the difference between profit and loss if you do it right.
That's true.
Yeah. Last kind of topic to cover then, Lindsay. I think I touched on it earlier, but the ZEV mandate we've really seen an uptick in the take up of new BEV sales, but not quite so much the van sales. I know that the target is a little bit behind, but we're quite a long way adrift of that target. what is it with vans? What are the barriers, and how can we really break through them?
Yeah, I think there's a real challenge there. I think in terms of the vans, it's limited range, model range, payload constraints, and those higher upfront costs. And I hear a lot of kind of feedback on challenges with charging infrastructure. So is it home charge? Is it depot charge? Is it using public charging infrastructure? But I think a lot of operators are struggling with that kind of the fear of transitioning and that whole range anxiety, and thinking that there's potentially not enough infrastructure out there if they were to use public charge points. I think it's education, and I really think that constantly sharing what we're doing, sharing what's working, what's not working, those kind of case studies that we can share can really build confidence, and just that collaboration between public, private sector. I think that'll really help. So I think if a fleet manager wanted to make a change, they would. And I think if they've got that passion, they'll get stuck in. And I think that's what differentiates people starting transitioning now and people not so much.
Yeah, Lindsay, it's a great answer. Definitely education, definitely perception, and lean into the experience of the electrification of the car the car fleet, because we've seen it works, and the public infrastructure is more than good enough if you're not able to charge at home or at work, which a lot of van drivers can't do. Yeah. I think if we can crack that nut, we'll start to see some really big strides in the van market.
I think over the next few years, we'll see big differences and big changes. It's exciting.
Great. Very positive outlook, Lindsay. Yeah. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much for your insight and wisdom.
Thank you so much.
And of course, thank you to Drax Electric Vehicles for joining GreenFleet Talks. And finally, thank you for watching. Please tune in to GF Television again soon.